if you don't vote every time, not just every 4 years, but every time, there's all sorts of things that have very real world, everyday implications. And if people don't vote, they are ceding that vote to somebody else who is voting, and somebody else is making that decision for you. Something else that was immediately apparent to her when we left was she wanted to put politics behind her. She has never enjoyed politics, um, but civics and the importance of voting and civic responsibility was something she tasked us with figuring out how to do it in a way that she could continue her messaging, but it wouldn't be political in nature. She didn't want the back and forth and the smallness that politics had become. So that's when it took us, I don't know, a year and a half, 16, 18 months to come up with When We All Vote. But it is an outlet for her to go out and talk to young people and Black and brown voters and disenfranchised voters and remind people how important it is and how much is at stake. And, she's a living embodiment of that.
Yeah, I'd like to dive in more. Great segue to When We All Vote.
Yeah.
So Argent's partnering with When We All Vote this election season. So one of the things that we like to do is leverage our platform where we can to lean into causes that we care about, but also to amplify organizations that
Yeah.
are doing the work and that are the experts. So we're not experts on GOTV work, get out the vote work, but we are good marketers and want to funnel people in, and we
Yep.
believe that everyone should show up and to be voting. I want to hear now in this new role and in this new stage of career, what does your work look like leading into election day? And what has your career taught you about the importance of everyone being politically active?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. I mean, it's a risk. It's a risk for anybody who has a brand. And what you're doing is brave and great.
Thanks. I don't
Um,
consider it brave because I
it's
think
entirely brave.
thank you, but I think it's what you touched on earlier, which it's authentic to me and what we're building is an extension of who I am.
Yep.
I also think that I believe so deeply in our country and our democracy and in the need for people to engage with it and show up in the way that we're all expected to, which is just by casting a vote. So,
Yep. Look, one of my side dreams when I have some time off is to convince you to run for Congress. That's next. Sally for
sorry.
Congress.
I enjoy behind the scenes. You know this about me. Though Arjun has forced me out.
There is you have multiple lives. This is one stage. We
Thank
can
you,
talk
Mel.
about that, but you are exactly the type of person that I feel like should be in Congress representing constituents because it's for all of the right reasons that you are doing exactly what you're doing.
Thank you. It's the highest compliment, especially coming from you. So thank you. I'm just gonna try and absorb it. Thank you.
So just put that, file that.
You put it there,
and then we
before.
can text about that down the road. I think one of the things that that has sort of been a focus for me, and this was even back when we were in the White House and we're getting Mrs. Obama on college campuses and talking all the time, is this sort of, I don't know if kids are learning civics anymore, and it has always been so frustrating to me. I mean, again, I started this whole thing with my internship, not knowing the difference between the White House and the Capitol.
With your brother's internship.
With my brother's internship and my mom's $3,000 down payment for the program. So I get it. I didn't know anything either. But I don't think people understand this continuum of if you don't vote every time, not just every 4 years, but every time, you are not voting for your senator, who in turn are the people who are confirming Supreme Court justices, who are in turn making all of these decisions that affect a woman's body, who can bake a wedding cake, whether or not people who love each other can be married. There's all sorts of things that have very real world, everyday implications. And if people don't vote, they are ceding that vote to somebody else who is voting, and somebody else is making that decision for you. So people have to understand that it is not just about voting in a presidential year, because that is hugely important, but it is about understanding your responsibility. And if you There are people all over the world who would kill to be able to vote as safely as we do here in the United States and with the ease that we do. And I will never understand and I will never stop fighting for people to vote every time there's a ballot for whatever it is.
And it's twofold, right? Making sure that people have access and making
Yes.
sure that they show up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if somebody doesn't want to go be a poll watcher, I get it. Then find someone and drive them to the polls or help them fill out their registration. There's a million tiny ways you can do it, and then there's, you can get up and you can go to another state where you know it's gonna be a battleground and do something, but people have to be educated and they have to understand what's at stake because it's so obvious to me what's at stake.